On my 18th birthday there wasn't a cake. There was a folded bill. My father had never been subtle about his feelings. Some men weaponize silence. He preferred precision. Comments dropped like coins into a jar, small, metallic, cumulative. You don't get your stubbornness from me. Funny how you're the only one in this house with those eyes. Some debts aren't worth paying. By 16. I understood what he meant without him finishing the sentence. The morning I turned 18, he called me into the living room. My mother stood near the kitchen doorway, hands wrapped around a dish towel she wasn't using. The air felt rehearsed. He didn't yell. He reached into his wallet, pulled out a crisp $100 bill, and tossed it at me. It hit my shoulder and fell to the carpet. "Happy birthday," he said. "Get out. I'm done paying for another man's mistake." The word mistake didn't sting the way it once would have. It landed exactly where it had been aiming for years. I bent down, picked up the bill, smoothed it once between my fingers. I had imagined this momently when I was younger. I thought I would beg. Or shout. Or demand proof that he was wrong. Instead, I felt strangely prepared. When I was 12, I found the envelope by accident. It was tucked inside a photo album behind pictures from my parents' early marriage. My mother's handwriting was unmistakable for "when he's ready." I shouldn't have opened it. Inside were papers, a paternity test result, dated before my 3rd birthday. A name I didn't recognize. An address in the next county. A short letter from my mother explaining that the marriage had already fractured before I was conceived. That my father had known the truth but chosen to stay. That staying had not meant forgiving. I didn't confront her then. I resealed the envelope and kept it. I carried it with me through high school. Through every sideways comment and withheld handshake. It wasn't revenge. It was context. At 17 I wrote to the name on that paper. He replied. Our first meeting was quiet and awkward. He didn't try to hug me. He didn't apologize for 18 lost years. He asked what I liked to study. He told me about his work as a mechanic. He showed me photographs of his parents, my grandparents, who had passed without knowing I existed. He said, carefully, I didn't know how to step in without blowing up your life. I told him it had already been detonated, on my 18th birthday. After picking up the $100 bill, I reached into my backpack and took out the envelope. I know? I said. My father's mouth twitched. Irritated by what he assumed was sarcasm, I held the envelope out to him. And my real father is waiting outside. My mother inhaled sharply. Like she'd been underwater too long. He didn't take the envelope at first. Then he did, almost lazily, as if indulging a performance. He opened it. I watched his eyes move across the familiar lines. His posture shifted, not dramatically but enough. You went looking? He asked. You told me I didn't belong, I said. I believed you. There was a car parked at the curb. Nothing flashy. Just an aging sedan with the engine running. Through the window, I could see him. Hands on the steering wheel, staring straight ahead. Giving us space to finish whatever this was. My father walked to the front window. He looked out, and his face changed color in a way I hadn't seen before. Not anger, not rage, something closer to exposure. The story he'd controlled for years was no longer his alone. He had built his resentment around secrecy. Around being the only one who knew and could weaponize it. Now it was ordinary, documented, acknowledged. Visible. You think this fixes something? He said. Quieter now. No. I answered. It explains something. The room held a strange stillness. My mother had started crying softly, I couldn't tell for whom. I put the $100 bill back on the coffee table. I won't need it, I said. That wasn't entirely true, I would need plenty. I had a duffel bag packed, a part-time job, community college enrollment papers. My biological father had offered me his spare room, nothing more. No promises, no rescue narrative. Just an option. As I walked toward the door, my father didn't stop me. He didn't apologize either. He just stood there, the envelope still in his hand. As if it weighed more than paper should. Outside, the air felt different. Not freer, just honest. When I opened the passenger door, the man behind the wheel glanced at me. You okay? He asked. I considered the question. I don't know yet, I said. He nodded. As if that was the only reasonable answer. As we pulled away, I looked back once. My father was still at the window. Smaller than I remembered. I don't hate him. That would be simpler. He stayed when he didn't have to. He provided. He resented. All of it at once. I was raised inside that contradiction. But I am not a mistake. I am a person who learned the truth and chose to step toward it. 18 isn't old enough to know who you are. It is old enough to decide who gets to define you.